Have you ever brought up something with someone in an honest and what you thought was a calm and reasonable way, and right after you said your part, the other person got super defensive? You shared something that hurt or upset you, and suddenly they're upset and you're the problem. And now you're apologizing for something that they did that impacted you. If you've ever sat there thinking, did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Am I wrong? Why am I feeling like the bad guy for being honest and vulnerable about my feelings? Or why do I feel like I'm losing my mind right now? You're not alone. And you're not imagining it. Today, I'm breaking down why emotionally immature people get so defensive, even when you are being honest and reasonable. I'm going to show you how to spot the pattern early and how to protect your power so that you don't get pulled into a fight about your experience or start to discount or downplay your own feelings. But first, if you're new here, welcome to our incredible little corner on the internet. My name is Kristina, and I am a registered clinical therapist, a researcher, a coach, a speaker, and the author of my book, Drive Your Own Darn Bus. And I help heart-centered humans think better, feel better, live better, and love better so that they can like themselves and their lives more every day. Let's get into it. And let's first understand why defensive people react in these ways so that you can see that it's actually not about you. When someone is emotionally immature, meaning that they have never developed the capacity to hold difficult or uncomfortable feelings, they have never felt safe even holding difficult or uncomfortable feelings, any kind of feedback about them or their behavior or their actions doesn't feel like information. It feels like a threat. So when you say, can we talk about something that hurt me? They don't hear curiosity. They don't hear an attempt at reconnection. They hear it as an offense, which is why they then go into the defense. Under the surface, their nervous system is screaming at them something like, I'm being attacked, or I'm being exposed, or I'm losing control. Or if I admit anything, then it's going to mean that I'm a bad person. Or even just, I'm going to have to admit that I'm wrong. And that feels very destabilizing and threatening to someone who is lacking in that emotional maturity. But know also that these aren't conscious thoughts. This is their emotional wiring from things that they were taught or told or went through or experienced or were exposed to. Just like all of us, we are forming who we are and how we handle things and how we process things, mostly during those formative years, based on how we are cared for, who is caring for us, what kind of care they are giving us, what we have been through. So what you need to then know is that their defensiveness isn't about you at all, but it still has an impact on you because you end up feeling guilty or invisible or confused or misunderstood or rejected or blamed. Also, it's helpful to understand that at a deeper level, most people who lack emotional maturity hold at least one of these core beliefs about themselves. One of these core beliefs could be, if I'm not perfect, I'm unworthy. So anything that's even just regular feedback to them can feel like shame. Another core belief is that accountability equals humiliation. So they fight it or avoid it or push it away at all cost. The next core belief is that change is hard and even inconvenient. If you call out a behavior that they're doing that you don't like, then they might have to change. And if they feel like change is hard, or maybe they can't change, or it's going to be too difficult or inconvenient, they're going to be resistant to that. The next core belief is that if I admit that I hurt you, then I am a bad person, which again feeds into that core shame, that core idea that I need to protect my ego instead of the safety in the relationship. And know that I'm not telling you these things to excuse the behavior. We're not justifying or excusing hurtful or bad or even harmful behavior. We're doing it to understand. We're doing it so that we don't get pulled into it and think it's because of us, so that we can understand that it's something going on inside of them. That however they're reacting is for a reason, and that reason has very little or even nothing to do with you. So now I'm going to tell you what the main defensive patterns are so that you can understand what's really going on in these types of interactions. You'll recognize these ones quickly. And the first one is the blame flipping. You say, "Hey, that hurt me." And then they say, "Well, you always ... This moves the spotlight from them to you. The second one, minimizing or dismissing. "Why are you so sensitive? Why do you always have to make a big deal out of these silly little things?" This one can be especially painful because it almost erases your experience because they don't know how to sit with their own discomfort. The third one is the victim playing. And this one is when you express hurt and it turns into somehow them being wounded. Counterattacking, and this is when they bring up your past mistakes instead of addressing the present issue. The fifth one, shutting down. Silence, withdrawal, stonewalling, completely shutting you out. It's like you're being punished just for sharing your feelings. And here's what all of these have in common. They are about them protecting themselves, and they are not about you, but they still leave you feeling wrong, feeling invisible, feeling unheard, unimportant, uncared for, alone. If you've ever thought, "Why do I feel so crazy?" Or "Why is this so hard?" Or "I can't bring anything up," this is why. But let me say this clearly. Their defensiveness is not because you shouldn't have said anything. It's not because you're bringing in too much drama. It's not because you're too emotional. It's not because they're right and you're wrong. Defensiveness is not a sign of your inadequacy. It's a sign of their emotional capacity or lack thereof. And yeah, it's confusing. It hurts. It makes you doubt yourself. It can make you question your own reality. It can make you wonder if you're wrong for having feelings or if you're bad for letting things impact you in the first place. You're not imagining the effect, though. It is painful when someone refuses to hear or acknowledge you or be available for the kind of care or even conversation that you are needing in that moment. So, what can you do? How can you stay grounded and not get pulled in? Here's how you can stay steady when someone else is getting defensive. First of all, don't take the bait. Their reactivity belongs to them, not you. You can even say a grounding, anchoring statement to yourself, something like, "This reaction is about where they're at, not about who I am." Second of all, speak to the pattern, not the panic. Gentle, clear lines to them. Something like, "I'm not attacking you. I'm sharing what's important to me." Or, "I hear you're upset, but I still think it's important that we talk about what happened." Or, "I'm not looking to blame you. I'm looking for us to understand each other." Or, "This relationship matters to me, and I want us to be able to talk about these things so that we can learn how to care for each other better." These will all keep you anchored and keep the focused on a mutually desired outcome, which often will reduce defensiveness. The third thing is don't over-explain. The more you explain, the more they are likely to defend. Say your part and then ask them if they understand. Clarity is more important than convincing. The fourth thing, and maybe this should have been the first thing, but this is in all the things, is to regulate yourself first and respond second so that you don't go into attacking mode from their defensive mode, because then it's just two emotionally immature people going at it and no one is getting anywhere. So as soon as you start to notice your chest tightening or getting that kind of brain fog, or your voice starting to shake, or even you feel kind of like blindsided by their reaction to your sharing of your feelings or your experience, pause, breathe, reset yourself. And if you want a 3-step process that works like magic in these moments, grab my 3-step emotional reset plan. The link is in the description below. And this is a quick 3-step reset that you can use anytime you're feeling triggered, when their defensiveness is activating your own, or when you are feeling any kind of emotionally out of sorts and you want to get your feet back on the ground and regulated quickly. Grab that 3-step emotional reset plan. The fifth thing is to know when to pause the conversation. If them or you or both of you are getting too worked up, too defensive, too offensive, know when to just take a second and say something like, this conversation is getting too heated and I don't think we're going to get anywhere if we continue like this. So let's just take a break and come back to it when we're both feeling more grounded, more calm, and able to address each other in respectful, responsible ways. This isn't you abandoning the conversation. This is you protecting the relationship. Here's the truth that can actually be pretty hard to hear. And this is that you can't make anyone become more emotionally mature. You cannot make them hear you. You cannot make them heal or soothe their own shame for you, but you can learn to hold your center even when someone is losing theirs. And even though you can't make someone become more emotionally mature, you can model it by how you are showing up in the conversation. And more often than not, that modeling will start to gently mold how they start to handle things. Because when you are not taking the bait and getting pulled in to the chaos dissipates. And then they start to recognize that chaos doesn't feel good, and they are handling it differently. So what would it be like for me to handle it differently? And when they are not going into defensive mode constantly because of how you are not getting pulled into it, then their defenses go down and they will start to want to handle things better with you. Because the truth is, all people want healthy, adaptive, close connection. It's just that some people didn't learn that that was safe or that was okay or even that that was possible. Now, again, it's not your job to be their therapist, but a lot of healing can happen within the dynamic of a relationship if both people are willing to do that work, to put in that effort, to be open and work on being more honest with each other. And again, if you want a really simple tool that's going to help you stay more emotionally grounded, to become more emotionally mature yourself in these types of triggering conversations and situations, grab that 3-step emotional reset plan and start looking at and practicing the 3 steps right away. They will make a big difference. The link is in the description below. At the end of the day, you deserve relationships that don't make you feel small, confused, or wrong for having feelings. You deserve to feel heard, to feel understood, and for hurt to be acknowledged, repaired, and infrequent. Make sure you grab that 3-step emotional reset plan. And as always, take good care of yourself and take good care of those around you. Bye for now.